Hello people, Rakdos Cackler here with another deck tech, this time an updated deck tech. This is on my custom Grixis Slaughter deck, of which it is... Before I begin, none of the decks that I make, I do not go online for any deck listings. I build it for myself, and I build it with what I have, and then I search for the rest. I don't get deck listings offline because I like to build my own decks, not other people's decks. So, that being said, let's go through it. Hasn't really changed, except actually it has changed quite a bit since the last deck tech I did for it. So let's go ahead and take a look at the land base before we get to anything else. Just like last time, you have 5 of each basic land. I mean, 5 mountains, 5 swamps, 5 islands. And you also have 3 guild gates, 1 Azet, 1 Dimir, 1 Rakdos. Then you have 3 shock lands. 1 watery grave, 1 steam vent, and 1 blood crypt. Took me a long time to get the blood crypt. I had no problem getting watery graves because my friend gave me like 2 of them. My friend gave me like 2 of them in one day, so I got like a crap load of them. And then 3 dual lands from Innistrad. I'm talking about D-Skull Summit, Drowned Catacombs, and Sulphur Falls. Now, I have to use a proxied Sulphur Falls because I still cannot find one from Innistrad, or M13 actually. But I'm still on the lookout for a Sulphur Falls, and I need one to finish the deck. When I get that, this deck will be finished. Other than like replacing 1 card, and that'll be it. And you'll see that card in a little bit. Now let's go on with the spells. First, I put 2 Blast of Genius. It allows you to draw 3 cards, you discard a card, and it deals damage equal to the discarded card's converted mana cost. That is used to get rid of breaking and entering when I do not want to use it. And I did have a judge check for me. When you use the ability, it does combine these 2 mana costs into 1. So this would do 8 damage just by paying 6 mana. So it's a very good combo to use. And then Mind Grind, which is a very popular Dimir card. Each opponent reveals the top card of their library until they reveal X land cards, X always being a high number with this deck. Then put all cards revealed this way into their graveyard. X cannot be 0. So basically, if they cast that, they have to do something. They can't just waste it. Then I have 2 Whispering Madness. Each player discards his or her hand, then draws cards equal to the greatest number of cards discarded this way. Great, because it's a Cipher card. It's the only card with Cipher in the deck. Then I have Dreadbore. Personally, one of my favorite cards for the Rakdos Guild, along with Rakdos himself. Destroy target creature or planeswalker. Basically, if a certain deck out there has ability to take control of my creatures, if they take control of my planeswalker, precaution in case they get one of my planeswalkers, I can destroy it immediately. And you'll see the planeswalkers in this deck. There's only 2, but then I have 2 Reap Intellect, which I got from a friend of mine. Insane effect. It's like Mind Grind, but just nasty. All the more, its effect is too long to read out. But it's a ridiculous card. It allows you to. It costs 1 swamp, 1 island, 2 colorless, and then X. And you get to look in your opponent's hand, exile X cards from their hand. They search their library for cards with the same name as the cards that you exiled, and those also get exiled. I summarized it, so. Then I have 2 Breaking and Entering, 2 Turn and Burn, 2 Toil and Trouble, 2 Far and Away. I have all possible fuse cards in the deck. And now let's get to the creatures. Mirko Vosk, Mind Drinker. He is the only flyer in the deck. which is weird. I might have to replace him for Exava if I get another one, because I traded one to the card shop. But this one's actually good because it allows you to have the mill. But Malek is at Paragon is definitely staying in the deck because his ability allows me to cast Breaking and Entering twice. His ability, you play with the top card revealed and you can cast it if it's instant or sorcery, and if you cast it using his ability, you get to cast it twice. So I sit there, cast Breaking and Entering, both of them from the top of my library. I use it twice. And you can choose new targets for them. And then I have Haunter of the Night Veil. I got a little tongue-tied there for a second. Creatures your opponent controls, your opponent's control get -1, -0. Not a flyer. I don't know why, because I think it's actually flying in the picture. But it's actually a good card to use. It's a good, it's a good blocker too. It's a 3/4 for 5. Its effect is what you're paying for, really. And then 2 Spike Jesters, of course. 2 drops with haste. 3 2s. 3 1s, I mean. Then 2 Sire of Insanity. This card's ridiculous. At the beginning of each end step, not just yours or your opponent's, both of yours, each player discards his or her hand. Basically, I like to call this card, if you do not cast it, you lose it. Whenever I play it, at the end of my turn, I put my hand in the graveyard. They're like, what? And I'm like, read the effect. And then I just sit there and on the turn, so I knock the camera for a second. And then when they draw their card for the turn, I'm like, if you don't cast it, you don't use it at all. Which is fun to use with that. And then I have 2 Carnage Gladiators, good against Defender decks, which I do face every now and then. Basically, if you block, you lose a life. And if I have both on the field, which I actually make an effort to do, you lose 2 life. And then I have 2 Hellhole Flailers, one of them foil. Basically, I bring them out, unleash them, next turn, sack them, deal 4. 2 Master of Cruelties, took me forever to get these guys. Basically, first strike, death touch, can only attack alone, and if they hit the opponent, their life total becomes 1. And it technically does not deal combat damage. It's an effect, not the combat damage. And then I have 2 Notion Thieves, just to get over card advantage. And then into the Planeswalkers, Tybalt the Fiend Blooded, and Nicol Bolas. I need to replace Tybalt the Fiend Blooded for a Ralzarak. I need a Ralzarak to replace. Why? Because the extra turn really helps. Making the extra turn could really help with this deck. And Tybalt works good, but I've used his versatility so many times. I've ended up discarding Whispering Madness when I need it, or discarding one of my shock lands, which is never fun. So I'm going to replace him for a Ralzarak, and then I have a Nicol Bolas here who's not being replaced. He's not being replaced. That's literally all I have to say about it. It's just no. He's staying in the deck as long as this deck exists. But there you have it, my updated Grixis Slaughter deck tech. It works rather well, and when I get the Sulphur Falls, it'll be done, and then I'll end up replacing the Tybalt. And everything else is staying, because everything else works for me. So I might end up, when Theros comes out, I'm going to be diving into that and just going crazy, because I've been hearing a lot of rumors and a lot of stuff about the new Planeswalkers and everything. And all I have to say is they have to make a new black and red Planeswalker, because there is only one in existence. I mean, did I say black and blue? I meant black and red. They need to make another black and red Planeswalker. There's only one in existence, and he's not that good in comparison to the green and red version of him. So yeah, I'll be doing that. I'll be hoping that they make a black and red one, which I believe they will be doing, but who knows anymore. So Rakdos Cackler signing out. Like the video if you want to, and subscribe. Rakdos Cackler out.